Good afternoon, I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. The headlines. Flooding situation in CHAWAMA constituency raises concern among stakeholders. Government expresses concern at the rising number of gender-based violence cases in Zambia. Details after this break.
Hello, have you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099. +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467.
Msika, allowing your business to grow.
And now the media news in detail. Government has expressed worry at the continued rise of gender-based violence cases in Zambia. Gender Minister Elizabeth Piri, in a speech read on her behalf by Ministry's Director for Gender and Rights, Lynn Habanji, explains that despite government's continued efforts in mitigating the scourge, GBV cases continue rising. The minister is therefore calling for concerted effort in ending the GBV. Ms. Piri said this during the launch of a book titled Gender-Based Violence and Functional Literacy, authored by Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs Director for Guidance, Dr. Sande Mwape. Details in the following report.
According to official statistics on Zambia's gender-based violence, the country recorded close to 50,000 GBV cases in 2 years, being in 2018 and 2019. In 2018, Zambia recorded over 21,000 GBV cases, which increased to over 25,000 cases in 2019, as we await for the 2020 figures, which are still being computed by relevant government institutions. These statistics continue posing and raising concerns among the general citizenry, hence government calling for concerted efforts in mitigating the scourge. Responding to this cause, an author who is Director of National Guidance at the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs, Dr. Sande Mwape, has authored a book titled Gender-Based Violence and Functional Literacy, aimed at raising awareness on the side effects of GBV in the country, particularly in our communities. The book has since been launched by Gender Minister Elizabeth Piri, who was represented by the Ministry's Director for Gender and Rights, Lynn Habanji.
Gender-based violence is a challenge in our country. We are all affected in one way or the other by this scourge, which can result in physical, sexual or psychological harm and traumatizing to the survivor, particularly women and girls who are disproportionately affected by the vice. In order for us as a nation to attain gender equality, we need to eliminate gender-based violence at all costs. I'm sad to note that GBV remains on the rise. After more than a decade of nationwide campaigns supported by global efforts, we have made paltry progress to remedy the tragic situation.
Author of the book, Dr. Sande Mwape, explains that the book was written through inspiration of the numerous GBV incidences he has come across and read about.
In 1999, ladies and gentlemen, I read a story in one of our local newspaper, in the daily newspaper, which said that a woman of Kalingalinga compound was stabbed to death, and bled to death by her husband, in full view of her 3 children, over the suspicion of being in a relationship with the landlord. Again, in 2011, I read another story that a woman identified as Melody Kasonde, age 17 years, of Kabwe, in Kamshanga compound, was killed by the husband, chopped into pieces, and buried her remains into a shallow grave. As a Kabwe person, for many years I witnessed this. And the man was so brave to ask others to help him to bury it as a dead dog. What was, and still more disturbing, ladies and gentlemen, is that the annual survey of the recent MAM, which just quoted for the third quarter, still shows that every year there is an increase in the country recorded cases of gender-based violence.
The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, represented at the event by its Executive Director, George Hamunga, said functional education is key in addressing gender-based violence.
Our literacy levels are still very low. And as you know, about 60% of our illiterate population is composed of women. And if it is composed of women, we are given an opportunity from this book to realize that not everything is lost for those women. Not everything is lost for those men. But more importantly, he gives us an opportunity to realize the efficacy of functional literacy in addressing issues of GBV.
NGOCC was represented at the function by its board chairperson, Mary Mulenga.
She said to me,
Kalan Uchima reporting for Camnet News in Osaka.
In other news, despite several assurances from political leaders in Lusaka's CHAWAMA constituency to end flooding, the situation has remained unsolved for many years. The residents have since accused their elected leaders of taking them for a ride, while they continue enriching themselves on the expense of serving the people they swore to serve. Details in the following report.
Rainfall is perhaps the most important factor in defining climate. Excessive rainfall can cause flooding and enormous property and crop damage. Still, a deficiency in rainfall can cause drought and crop failure. Rainfall is also the major source of energy that drives the circulation of the atmosphere. Just like other parts of the city, this time around, the people of John Howard in CHAWAMA constituency are feeling the effects of excess rainfall, which is leading to some flash floods. Prior to the rainy season, the people warned of what would happen once the drainage system is blocked by the people who are trying to allocate themselves land on the dam that has been serving as a drainage system. Fast forward to today, their fears have come true. The people in this locality are failing to cope with the floods.
Maybe wa kansela or wa MP banawana marungu wamere kuti marungu muzapita 2021 bawana because like this how can you pass bamdana zone ungapite bwanje muri ungapite so bamunama lungu bamunama lungu ro wakono so bachi bane bari nawo surrounded bachi bamunama yangana ni mafrance zona bamdana orovoti mukapasendani voti.
But when he reached for a comment, CHAWAMA constituency John Howard Ward 3 councillor Kafula Mutale urged the residents to be responsible and desist from dumping waste in the drainages, further urging the people to take part in the construction of drainages.
So my appeal, my earnest appeal to the residents of John Howard is that let's do our own spoon drain from where we stay, because this needs community engagement, because it's us, the community, that are feeling the pain. So let's show leadership, let's own the project, let's do the spoon drain into the main drainage. That's one. Two, let's avoid throwing garbage in the drainage, the main drainages, like along the road, like you mentioned yourself. However, as a community, and through my work development committee, we've started going around trying to re-engage, re-sensitize our people on the importance of a clean environment.
And when questioned about the dam which is being blocked and used as a dump site by people wanting to allocate themselves plots, Mr. Mutale says the activities do not have the blessings of the council.
That is supposed to be a drain site for the same water you are talking about. Whoever dumps there is doing that at their own peril. The only designated dump site in Lusaka is Chunga. That's why I said let's pay to the CBD, because once they collect that garbage, they take to Chunga. Whoever is found dumping garbage at that dump is doing it illegally. And is usually apprehended and we take them to the police. So that's not a legal dump site, no.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
In other news, a political activist, Charles Mwelwa, is worried for Zambia's peace as the country heads towards the 2021 general elections. Mr. Mwelwa observes that even before the 2021 electoral fever heats up, the country has continued to witness politically witnessed deaths. Mr. Mwelwa has since called for a collective approach from all key stakeholders to ensure that peace prevails before, during and after the 2021 general elections. He, however, says Zambia's peace solely rely on shoulders of the police, who are constitutionally mandated to safeguard the lives of people and ultimately maintain the country's peace and security.
In the first place, it's really very unfortunate that even before we actually enter the 2021 where we are actually expecting the general election, we have actually started experiencing deaths which are as a result of political motives. It's something that is very, very unfortunate. But my appeal to firstly the police is to make sure that we are actually putting all trust in them as the ones to enforce the law. They are the ones to actually apply the Public Order Act. My appeal to them is let them do it in a way of professionalism. That's my only appeal. Then to political players also is we are too expectant. You know, when you are expecting something, let us also leave a room for a negative part of it. As a result of, you know, when you are actually doing something, especially in a game, there is always a win and a lose. So we need to make sure that we actually put it into consideration to say it's a two-way thing. Now, when you actually do it to say it's a do or die, it's something that is very, very unfortunate. Then I would also like to appeal to my fellow youths. Let us not involve ourselves in political violence in the name of giving solidarity or supporting a presidential candidate, be it from the ruling party or even the opposition political parties. Let the youths be very much careful in the way we actually support our leaders. It's something that is very, very important.
Well, that news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Midday News, but before we go, the headlines once again. Flooding situation in CHAWAMA constituency raises concern among stakeholders. Government expresses concern at the rising numbers of GBV cases in Zambia. Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Compliments of the season and good afternoon.